What's up guys, Brian here down in the Gecko lab. Thank you for joining me. In today's video, we are going to discuss the age-old, oft-asked, highly debated question of, can crested geckos swim? Yep. Well, that's gonna do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I am Brian. Altitude. Okay, I'm not gonna end the video like that. Obviously, there's more to say here, but to answer the question, yes, crested geckos can swim. They're actually great swimmers. Now, I came up with this topic for today because I recently saw a post in a crested gecko group on social media where somebody wanted to build a waterfall feature in a bioactive vivarium, and they were asking the group, hey, if I do this, can crested gecko swim? Or if my gecko falls in, is it gonna drown? And I was really surprised at the number of people that were vehemently arguing, no, you cannot put any sort of water feature in your gecko's cage. Some people were saying they drown extremely easily. That's just a death sentence for your gecko. I was shocked at this because crested geckos are actually great swimmers. In fact, every single gecko I own has swum at some point in its life. So the reason for that is when my geckos hatch, I keep them on hatching medium that's rocks. Rapashi makes one and Pangea makes it. They don't make it, they just buy it and resell it as hatching material. And it's just porous volcanic rock that soaks up the water. You guys have seen it in my other videos. That's what I use to incubate my eggs on. Well, when the babies hatch, they can get those rocks stuck all over their body. So every baby that hatches here, I actually have a little Tupperware dish, the same kind that I used in my lay boxes. It's one of those Tupperware dishes. And I just fill it with water every day when I'm putting hatchlings away, and every hatchling comes out of the incubator and I set them in the water. They swim around for a few seconds, all those rocks fall right off in the water, and then I take them out, put them right in their cage. And that's how I clean the incubation material off my hatchlings. I just do this because otherwise it gets all over my cages, they get dirty because the rocks are on them, and I don't want to risk impaction. If there's a little piece of rock, the geckos shed very soon, within a day of after they hatch, and then they eat that shed. I don't want them to eat the rocks at that young of an age. It would obviously cause problems. So literally every gecko I own has swum at some point in its life. I was really surprised in this post how many people were saying it was just deadly for crested geckos to swim. They drown super easy. It's just not true. On top of the fact that they're good swimmers, they actually float. As you can see in that video I played a clip of, they float. They don't even have to swim. They can literally just lay on the water and not move. They're expending no energy. There's no chance that they're going to get tired and drown, much less like this idea that they're going to jump in the water and immediately sink to the bottom. Like, that's just not how it works. So basically every animal in the world can swim. Some can't swim well, but almost every animal can swim, and crested geckos are actually really good swimmers. So I'm not sure where this came from. This is just a good example of how bad information about any species can pop up online, and this is something that you guys need to be careful of. Just because you see it in a group that's geared around crested geckos doesn't make it true. This is clearly a fact that somebody somewhere thought, oh, that's bad and scary to put your geckos in water, so they said crested geckos can't swim, they'll drown, and somebody else saw that and repeated it, and it just gets repeated, and it becomes part of just the general population's common knowledge about crested geckos, even though it's totally false. Like, it's just people seeing something and going, well, it's on the internet, it must be true, so they repeat it over and over. It's how all of these myths about crested geckos get started. I've literally got like 3 videos about lies you hear about crested geckos. I don't remember if this one's on there, but it should be because it's ridiculous. All that being said, I do want to talk a little bit about water features around your crested geckos and what you do need to be careful for, because it's not just like, you know, throw your geckos in a pond and they're going to be cool with it. There's no reason your crested geckos need to swim other than, you know, with the hatchlings. Like I said, when they first hatch, I do that. Other than that, my crested geckos don't ever swim again. It's not like I'm giving them a lap pool in their cage or anything. There's no need for them to swim. It's just simply they can. There are, however, situations when you need to be careful with water. In the case of this original poster in this social media post asking about building a waterfall feature with a pond at the bottom into a bioactive vivarium. It's a good idea. I've seen a lot of people do it. It looks awesome. It's a great way to keep a nice humid environment for your geckos. It can be incredibly beneficial. The one thing you want to make sure you do is you have to have a way for your gecko to get out of that water feature if they fall in. This idea that if they fall in the water feature, they're going to drown extremely quickly is ridiculous. But it could happen if they were to fall into a water feature that there was no way for them to get out of. Eventually, obviously, they're going to drown. It might take a long time, but it's just like a human. If I fell into a pool, I'm not going to drown right away because I can just swim to the edge and climb out. If I fell into a pool with 10 foot, just, perfectly smooth walls that I can't get up, eventually I'm going to drown. It's going to take a while because I can swim, I can float on my back. Eventually I'm going to drown, and that can happen to your geckos. So a good way to counteract this is to get like a fake plant and have it sitting into the water so your geckos can crawl up it to get out. You can use branches, grapevine, anything like that. They actually make like turtle basking shelves that you can get that are made to be in the water and then come out so the geckos can crawl out. Any of that stuff is a good option. You have to have something like that in your cage so if the geckos do fall in, they don't drown. The other thing about water features in cages you have to be careful of is bacterial growth. Especially in humid, dirty cages like our geckos live in. Like, it doesn't matter how clean you keep your gecko's cage, it's a dirty environment. It's got dirt everywhere and your gecko poops wherever he wants. It's going to be dirty. And bacteria thrives in water, especially warm water like your gecko's gonna have in his cage. So if you're gonna build a water feature, it has to be something that's either extremely well filtered or you clean it constantly. This is the reason I don't recommend those fogger machines that people can put in their cages or any of like the self-contained waterfall units. Like, you'll see some that are shaped like, jungle Aztec themed or big skulls or whatever different ones they make. Those aren't very good because that water doesn't ever get filtered. It just goes from the top of the waterfall down to the bottom. It's always in the filter. It does a circle, and that water it's moving, but it's essentially stagnant. It's the same water over and over, and that's just a breeding ground for bacterial growth. That water gets super icky. You have to clean those so often because if that stuff gets nasty and that bacteria and mold and everything starts growing in that water, and then your gecko's going to drink that water, it's just not a good recipe. So if you have something like that in your cage, I highly recommend you clean it like every couple days. Twice a week is a good rule of thumb. Every second or third day, take that entire water feature out, and you either want to scrub it with antibacterial soap and rinse it extremely well, or you can scrub it down with vinegar. Works pretty well to kill that kind of stuff. That can work, but you have to clean them super often. That's the reason I've never recommended them, is because you clean them so often that they're actually not even worth it. So that's something you also have to be careful of. One more little note I want to say about water in your gecko's cages. I have seen the argument made before that you should not provide a drinking dish for your gecko because he can drown in it. That's ridiculous. If your drinking dish, your water bowl for your gecko is so deep that your gecko could drown in it, that's not a water ball, that's a pool. Your gecko does not need a recreational swimming pool. If it's a proper water bowl, even then, like I said, they can swim, so it's not a big deal, but that's not a water bowl. If you have a water bowl for your gecko to drink water out of, like, they're not crickets. Crickets will go up and actively put their face in the water and stay there till they die. Geckos are smarter than crickets. They're not going to do that. Like, you can put a water dish in there. That's not even something to be worried about. I saw that argument once on Facebook, and I was just like, I am done with the internet today. Yeah, this is why I make videos, because y'all need to learn some stuff. Not you guys. You guys are great. I love the people that watch my videos. It's the other guys over on Facebook. They just spend all day in Facebook groups. It's annoying. That's why I don't go on Facebook that often. So, I hope that helps dispel some of these myths about crested geckos drowning. It's not gonna happen. It would be an extremely rare, very specialized circumstance to even allow that to happen. It's not something you need to worry about. So, let's put that one to bed. Thank you guys for joining me today. As always, I am Brian, for real this time, altitudeexotics.com/AEGeckos on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys so much. As always, be safe, be kind. I love you, and I will see you guys soon.